All right. The doors were locked. Children who have never felt sunlight on their skin. Families hiding in shame and isolation. This is what Zalalem Desalegn found when he started knocking on doors in Gondar.
My name is Zalalem Desalegn. I'm an occupational therapist by background.
Zalalem was one of Ethiopia's first occupational therapists.
So when I first came here, I saw a lot of gaps.
Gaps in care, gaps in equipment, gaps in hope. But Zalalem saw something else too, a path forward. I'm Biniam, and this is Atron. Act 1, the problem. You ready? Okay, let's go. Okay, I wanna be honest with you. Growing up, I thought I knew what disability was. I thought it was obvious, like missing a leg or being very sick. To me, it felt like a punishment or curse. And I wasn't the only one. Almost everyone around me believed this. One day, everything changed for me. I had a close relative. I was talking to her on the phone, and it was an ordinary conversation, like every other one that we had had before. But 30 minutes later, I found out she had a stroke. And when I saw her next, she was paralyzed. It hit me hard. I realized that disability is not some faraway thing. It can happen in a second, and it can happen to anyone. So, what exactly is disability? I learned it's not about a sickness in your body, but it's about the barriers. It's about the stairs you cannot climb. It's about the people who stare at you. And it's about the jobs that won't hire you. Disability is when the world around you says no instead of yes. In Ethiopia, we have 17.5 million people living with disabilities. That is 15% of our population. But for a long time, we had no professionals to help them live a meaningful life. We were missing a huge piece of the puzzle.
Rahil. Was that what? Sorry.
Rahel Olana is a teacher now, but before, she saw disability the same way I did.
Yeah. So when children have cerebral palsy, their life after that is seen as though it's shrouded in darkness, as if they cannot do anything.
Then she went to study in Canada, and she saw something that shocked her.
Cerebral palsy ሲኖርባቸው when I was a student, I had an experience that's not very common in my country, and honestly, not that common in Africa either. People with disabilities from the community were invited to come and talk to us students. They shared their own life stories and how they managed day to day. One of them was a PhD student at Queen's University, if I remember correctly, who had cerebral palsy. His condition affected his body quite a lot, so he needed someone to help him communicate, and he used a wheelchair to get around. Seeing him speak to us really made me think. When I compared that to what happens in Ethiopia, again using cerebral palsy as an example, I realized how little attention this gets back home. So I really wish we could have experience like that too, once that show it's possible. People with disabilities are capable, and with the right understanding and support, they can take part in the society just like anyone else. Professionals like occupational therapists can help make that happen. That's something I truly hope for.
The difference was this thing called occupational therapy. But what is it? Is it help with your job? Is it physical therapy? I asked Anushka Mazingandra this question. She has spent 10 years helping bring OT to Ethiopia.
So occupational therapy really is not just about working. I just want to get that cleared out because most people
That's
think
misconception,
occupation.
right?
Yeah,
I also think
totally a misconception. People think, oh, you're just going to help me get back to work. It can be part of the picture, But occupation is really defined to us as like anything that you need to do or you want to do or you'd love to do, but you're not able to do for whatever reason. OT is going to help you to do that.
It's not just about the obvious things. It's about the small things that make us human.
Occupational therapy is about helping people to do everyday things they find hard to do on their own. For example, if someone cannot wash their face by themselves, how can we make that possible for them? Maybe through assistive tools or other kinds of support. Or if there is a student who has trouble focusing in class because of mental challenge, how can we help them stay engaged in their studies? It's about everything from small daily activities to bigger productivity. So if someone really wants to help others' life more independently and productively, I would tell them you should study occupational therapy.
ትምህርቱ ላይ ማተኮር ካቃተው እንዴት አድርገን ነው ልናግዘው የምንችል?
But we had a big problem. In my language, Amharic, the words occupational therapy did not exist.
We are bringing an entire new health profession to a nation. What does that mean?
How do you introduce a new profession to 120 million people when you don't even have a name for it? That is after the break. Act 2, the solution. To bring this profession to Ethiopia, the team needed the government to say yes. Hazer Aldersey from Queen's University told me about how they invited government officials from Ethiopia to come and see it for themselves.
So a couple of years ago, we welcomed representatives from the government, from education. We invited labor, health, Ministry of Health. So a number of different ministries, because OT can really cut across. You see OTs in schools, you see OTs in workplaces, you see OTs in hospitals, in clinics. So they can really, you see them out in the community, you see them in mental health and recovery. So we were trying to cover a number of different ministries where they might have influence and impact on the infusion of OT into the country. And they came to Queen's and we showed them here what OT looks like.
They visited hospitals, they visited schools. But the moment that would stick with them the most, it was actually lunch.
When the higher officials came, we had a meal that was cooked by people who have mental health issues or illnesses or diagnoses. But they made this delicious, probably the best vegan meal we had, that they've ever had on this project for 9 years. And we didn't tell them who was making it, right? But we told them after. And they were all like, what? What do you mean? So they're working like here in this space with like knives and things to cut this. Yeah. So I think it's that shit. It's about how we as society have termed these things. We can just change the perspective, right? And then that changes how we engage with people.
Like Anushka said, people even in Canada can't articulate what is OT or what do OTs do. And so by the end of this trip, hearing those ministers who came here really not like thinking OT was occupational health or, something return to work, and hearing them at the end of this trip really articulate beautifully what OTs are and what the need for OT was in the country. And since then, a number of those ministers who have stayed in those positions or government representatives have been really strong allies and colleagues in helping us to move this forward at the systems level, at the country level.
Okay, so the government was on board. Now, the real work could start. Back in Gondar, Zalalem was ready. He didn't simply want to be a therapist in a clinic. He wanted to change the community.
So one of the main core principles of occupational therapy that really struck with me was the idea of enabling occupation and also empowerment. So empowerment of people with disabilities. That was really a philosophical aspect of occupational therapy that stuck with me. and also understanding disability through holistic view, not through only medical view, but also social and other aspects. So I come to understand the disability holistically.
He knew they didn't just need medicine, they needed jobs, they needed support. So he built GAT, Grain Assistive Technology Center.
So we have different projects through the centers. The first one is we have a daycare center for children with disabilities. So this was the biggest ask from many caregivers. There is no special needs daycare center here. So many parents struggle. So they were very much burdened with caregiving in addition to trying to earn a living. So most of them are single parents who lost their job once they have a child with disability. So this was the biggest challenge. So that is one thing. So the other one is we have this garment and textile unit workshop. So we give training. So we have trained more than 30 caregivers in that textile and garment workshop. We give them skills. We have completed the training last year. And after that, we employed 7 of them at the garment center. So they make clothes, they paint, fabric, and a lot of things. So they work there.
So God gives parents jobs. It gives the children a safe place to be. But Zelalem also needed tools. Wheelchairs are expensive to import. So he decided to build them right here.
The other project is the big one, the assistive technology production. So we have been able to set up a workshop, a local workshop with all equipment. So we have 3D printers, we have 3D CNC router machine. We have all tools that we needed to make assistive technology. So we are currently making standing frames, a toddler mobility device, and also currently we are working on developing a new powered mobility device for children, young children with disabilities, electric powered device.
Zelalem didn't just treat a child, he treated the whole family. He gave them jobs, gave them childcare, and he gave them dignity. And this is exactly what occupational therapy is. It's not just fixing a body, it's fixing the system. But Zelalem is just one person in this story. So how has this spark turned into a fire? Act 3, the future. It took 10 years, but this year history was made. The University of Gondar graduated 16 occupational therapists. They are the first ever trained in Ethiopia.
This year, we graduated 16 students. When they first joined occupational therapy and now as they start working in the field, I could see how excited they were. But I also noticed some fear and self-doubt, which is totally normal. There are 16 students who have earned their bachelor's degree now, but there are more following in their footsteps.
16 graduates in a country of 120 million people. It sounds small, but the demand for them is huge.
I mean, as an OT who graduated in Canada, I remember a mentor of mine saying, if you can get an OT job 6 months out, you've done well. These OTs have gotten OT jobs 3 months out. They've done very well. I mean, internationally speaking.
And this is just the start. Hazer sees a future where Ethiopia doesn't just import technology from the West. We can create it here ourselves.
In Ethiopia in particular, there's a huge opportunity for innovation as it relates to assistive technology. And occupational therapists are well trained and well positioned to support and enable and be a partner in that innovation. And some of our Queen's OT graduates who are now OT faculty members over there are really doing amazing things as it relates to innovation and identifying that gap and identifying that need. It's not me identifying, like that's they're on the ground seeing that and taking action to make change, looking at 3D printing of solutions or partnering with production facilities in South Africa to understand techniques and trying to bring production to the Ethiopian context. So that's maybe one piece to add.
And Anushka, she wants to see these experts everywhere, in schools, in offices, in the government.
I would love for OTs to go in and talk about what people with disabilities can still offer you. And if you need support, like as an employer, having OTs to support those employers, you know? So that's why when we brought all these different ministries, it's to say like have an OT in these different sectors because it's going to help you and the country sort of flourish and thrive in terms of everyone contributing to society.
But let's be real. Being the first at anything is hard. There's no map and the road is not paved.
One thing that you want every OT student in Ethiopia to believe in.
Man. I just want them to believe that though the road may not be clear, that they are forging a way. And it's really to support an inclusive society, not just in Ethiopia, but their impact is across this world and supporting everybody to like have a meaningful life, which don't we all want that? So like, don't give up. Even if it's muddy and murky and you're just like, what am I doing? You are a leader, and sometimes leading can be lonely, and that's okay. But we're here. Like, there's a community. There's a whole world of OTs out there.
You stole mine.
Oh, sorry. Anyway, yeah. So, you know, we're in. Sorry. Anyway, it's the benefit of going first. Anyway, yeah. So.
No, I was just going to say that there's, I'd want them all to know that they have a community around them. I'd love for them to mobilize their own community. You know, there's a growing community of occupational therapists in Ethiopia, and I hope that they can support and help one another in that lonely journey of leadership to bring a profession into a new country. Even though it might feel lonely, they have a number of different communities that are surrounding them, and a growing community that really wants them to succeed, and that we all care about the same things.
Remember how I started this story talking about my relative and the stroke that changed her life? Back then I looked at her and I felt fear. I thought her life was over. I thought the doors were closed. But looking at her now, and looking at these 16 graduates, I see something different. I see that disability is not the end of the story. It's a different way of living. But to live that life, you need support. You need the right tools, and you need a society that welcomes you. Occupational therapy came to Ethiopia without a name, but now it has a home. It's taken an army of individuals both in Canada and Ethiopia to make this a reality. We have been lucky to hear from just a few people who have been part of this journey. In Ethiopia, we have 17.5 million people living with disabilities. For a long time, they've been waiting. But now, there are people trained to help them do the things that they want, need, and love to do. The doors are finally opening.